Oh, sorry for the delay. Had some forced updates there. Which stinks because this might be a longer show than usual. Anyway, well, again, since no one's around, I don't need to explain anything to anyone. Today, I'm going to be trying to get through a really interesting set of photos from 2002. These will be a trip I took from Thorndale to West Trenton and back. I'm pretty sure this is the longest regional rail ride that someone can take. I went with one of my friends, Bob, West Jersey chapter member who'd gotten me into the NRHS at the time, and I think we drove out to Thorndale, and then I started taking pictures from there. So it's just I don't know how we ever decided to go on this trip. But in theory, this is a 3-night event. I'm going to see how fast I can get through it. Maybe I can make it a 2-night event, but there's a lot of neat stuff going on here, so I don't know. I'm only going to be around for tonight and tomorrow, which is why I wanted to try to make it a 2-night event down from 3. But there's a lot of neat stuff, and we're going to see what I can do with it. Because 2002, this is really early on in my photo career. This would have been July 5th, so I guess it was a July 4th weekend sort of thing. A lot of neat stuff was still up, a lot of towers still open, a lot of neat signaling going on. So let's see. No one's really around. I guess I'm still live, so anyway. And the best part is I actually have a lot of the older photos. I have some of the older photos, so I can just grab the names here if it'll pull up. But anyway, a couple things I needed to do. It's not necessary. Oh, here we go. Pull up some Amtrak diagrams real quick. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we got anybody around. Oh, it looks like we got someone. All right, I can begin then. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure that we drove out to Thorn. Now, this is still very early in like me doing rail fanny stuff. I had taken a lot of rides. I took Amtrak out to Pittsburgh. I think I'd done some regional rail stuff here and there, but this is still when I think this would have been my first time really on the scene at Thorn Interlocking, which is still there today. Looks like there's going to be some fun delays because this is the install sort of drove my computer to its knees. So we'll see how far I can get here. I was hoping to get through stuff quick today, but this is why I don't update. So XSplit always wants to be updated, and I usually say no, and then YouTube updated its thing, and then I couldn't reauthorize the channel because the XSplit version was too old, etc., etc. It just turned into a clusterfuck. So anyway, I'm just trying to start here. Again, this is in my old camera days where I didn't have a lot of zoom to work with, all 3x of it. So this just shows, this is before Thorn really started. Here we see main track 1 in the foreground, track 2, and then 5 running beyond that. At this point, you could still route trains into 5 running because they hadn't pulled the jumper yet. the little incident that resulted in that. 5 running was not authorized for passenger use, and someone accidentally, tower operator accidentally sent a passenger train into 5 running. It's a yard, it's a basically an MOW track, so they pulled a jumper to prevent anyone from ever being able to do that by accident again. Oh man, this is just not having a good day. So anyway, the 44R there is displaying clear. Oops. But I should be able to reuse a lot of the older names. But yeah, this is the this is the older computer at my parents' house, so that's why it's often has headaches. Whew. Anyway, had a lot of neat pictures, so hopefully we can get through at least some of them. Oh boy. Once it gets through the first couple, it should. There's some sort of weird saving delay when I'm using PaintShop Pro. Sort of the first time around. There it goes. But once you do it once, right. Anyway, neat things right off the bat when I was there. This is before train tracking. A heritage painted Amtrak P42 showed up. They were doing the heritage. It's a phase. They were doing the heritage program pretty early on back then. So this is a phase 4 heritage scheme. Number 107. People tend to forget about that, but I think they all got painted into different schemes later on. But another neat bit is that there's a time where instead of selling all their old equipment, Amtrak would actually use it. In this case, Amtrak was, I can't see the number. They had broken. There was some weird funding dispute. So either funding or an Amfleet availability problem. So Amtrak put heritage coaches on the Keystones. And I actually rode heritage coaches on the Keystones back in the 90s, and it was like the 80s interior. It didn't really seem that much different than an Amfleet. Again, if I had realized the significance of this, I would have gone and bought a ticket to ride the heritage coaches on the Keystones, but I didn't know what I was missing there. There it goes. Oops. I got it. Our train for the day. So I'm not sure if we had to change trains or if because usually the R5s ran through as a straight R5. But we might have been able to do a through train. I don't know what the pair. It's like, yeah, SEPTA has its pairings, but it's everything's an exception. The schedule will often tell you where it was going to go, and every so often things would go to different locations. So I can't actually tell you where the heck if we were able to do this weird one seat ride from Thorndale to West Trenton. But here we have good old Thorn Tower. Note that the one of the interlocking lights has been left on inadvertently. The lower one there, Mercury Vapor. I could probably go and find what the original... Unless my Thorn stuff's over here somewhere. There it is. That's the old 2005 stuff. Sort by date. There it is. Still looks pretty much the same, although I said they are starting to, with the Callan resignaling and a bunch of other stuff, they are starting to get ready to chop up Thorn. So this was, as you can notice, this was definitely taken from inside the Silverliner 2. And of course the signals, it's interesting. I think today there's, this pretty much looks the same. I was just out there recently. Anyway, get to the interesting stuff in a bit. Here we have the famous bridge at Whitford. I actually, again, went out here this year to get better photos of this. It's a really neat station, probably the neatest station on SEPTA, with that big old Philadelphia and Thorndale truss bridge spanning the platforms. Highly recommend. I mean, it's super close to Exton, so it sort of gets a lot of... not that many people use it. I mean, Exton has got high level platforms, more parking. This is sort of a local station for local people. There we go. Ugh. Don't know why I'm using this same name. Here we are at Fraser, and here we have a Silverliner 2 number 218 on the sort of the layup track they had there. Trains could go into the yard, but they did have this layup track available for short turns to go back to Malvern. This is that track that had the Silverliner, the NJT Arrow 2s on it for a while, before they got converted into the wire train. So here we have Silverliner 2 number 218. See if I even need to rename, what name I can use for that. I don't even think I saved this photo because I probably thought it was like, Who cares about Silverliner 2s? It's always nice to be able to rehabilitate stuff from the old digital graveyard. What else we got here? All right, this is a neat bit. This is the Paoli shops before they were demolished, and ahead of us is the cat shields for the Paoli duck under track. Let's see if I can pull this out of the thing here. Dale, no, it's this one. There you go. Yeah, so there's actually, if you go to the, I actually had it pre-pulled up. If you go to the Paoli shop complex, this whole area was a massive Superfund issue with PCBs because the this was a start. This was servicing transformer equipment since 1915. So there was a good 50 plus years of just dumping that transformer oil right on the ground. And it contaminated a large swath of the Tri-County area because the line was built at the top of at the high point. The main line followed sort of a high point out, so it's at the Paoli shop straddles two watersheds. And the PCB contaminated both of them. But you can see in the shop complex, I'm not sure why someone put it looks like there was an old Y there. That's interesting. A lot of this is now, come on. A lot of this is now parking lot, and they're going to put a garage in too. But you can see there was an old Y, and then you had this duck under complex. So that's where the shop complex used to be. Sorry, the duck under track. The duck under came out of here at the 8 switch underneath a again, you don't notice this, but you can see where the cat shield is, and then it went under there. And this is again, trains would, you see this Paoli thing. It's like, this is a major terminal. How are they handling traffic? Well, it's because they had this duck under. Trains would pull it out of service, do whatever they did in the yard, and then head out on this tail track and reverse back on the other side. PRR was again, they were pretty clever about this sort of stuff. So anyway. Here we just see the old shop building in the process. All the topsoil had to be scraped away. But unless you knew it was there, it's not something that's the old. And there's the grade of the old duck under track. Today, this has been heavily remediated, and like I said, they're turning it into a combination of parking structure, parking lots, you name it. They're gonna park it. If people ever start taking the train again. Which I think they will. Here we have one other thing. So here's some non-heritage painted P42s, and I can't get the number on that second one. It looks like it's a 3-digit, like 1XX. One thing that I've noticed that doesn't come up a lot is that when these first came out in the Phase 5 that we all know and love, had this red stripe on it. Look in different ones at different stripes. See, and there's that lower down. There's the higher up. Eventually, they've settled on the sort of, I think, lower down or none. But I was always wondering if, like, how did I miss this red stripe that seems to always be there? But it's just because it wasn't me. It was the fact that Amtrak did go through some early installment weirdness with the Phase 5 that eventually vanished. I'm going to have to go back through my records and see what was up. Not sure if I saved that old photo either. I probably did. Here we have Paoli, of course. Not the greatest photo, a little blurry. You can see the damage from when something derailed into it. The air plant still doing its thing. I wonder if the air plant, because currently the air plant uses standalone little compressor cabinets, but I'm wondering if that wasn't a new thing that it sort of an addition. Towers here. That's a film. There it is. Sort of soft, but whatever. And here we have SEPTA number 358 under the East End, Paoli East End signal bridge. Not the best picture either. Let's see how I saved this back in the day. I wouldn't know. 388? No, that's not it. 54? Nope. Jeez. I really didn't know what I was doing. Nope. Okay, I said this is 354. That might have been. Did I say 358? Yeah, that's not a 4. That's an 8. That's going to be signal 28R. $358. That's all. There we go. Okay, finally got through a batch there. Let's see if anybody's actually watching. Yeah, one person. I think with the chat going on here. Again, sorry for the lateness. This junk kind of happens. So the neat part here is that the old main line pretty much looks the same it does today. I assume that it won't necessarily stay that way for too much longer. But I'm gonna need to get out. I have some plans to get out there and do some walking tours to get these pictures, especially that St. David signal bridge, the one that's on a bridge. I'm gonna probably find a way to head out there and get some pictures of that. But here we have, this is going to be signal 718. I even got it wrong. I said 168. Brighten that up. Get rid of some blue. Resize. Both tracks are... Now we have our Berwyn curve. Trying to figure out how I should tilt this. The PRR did a lot of curve elimination back in the latter bit of the 19th century, but for whatever reason they just weren't able to eliminate the big curve, the 50-mile-an-hour curve at Berwyn, which you saw in the other picture, the permanent speed restrictions for. I'm probably just going to keep the name for the old one. I'm not going to... I usually would grab a milepost for it, but I'm just going to grab this because I don't feel like doing a milepost. And it's nice that the first one at least has something on it. Okay. Here we have the 148 signals. In the 1948 configuration of the main line, it's track 3 is reversible, otherwise it's 2+2, but it's more like 3+2. If that and the neatest bit was that if you check out my YouTube, when Amtrak ran that Reading Line, Lehigh Valley fall foliage train, when we came to go through the Pittsburgh subway, when we came back, they sent us east on track 3. And through Paoli interlocking too, before those middle tracks are ripped out. So that's a super nice opportunity I had to capture that. It used to be with the towers, to reverse that track, you would have a literal traffic lever on the US&S machines, and one would do it, and then the other. It's just like two missile guys turning their keys. Each tower had to set traffic, and then it would establish. Now it's just each with Bryn Mawr closed, Paoli controls its half and Overbrook controls its half. It is. I've been in those towers when the I've been in the towers to see the traffic get thrown just as a demo. It's hilarious because it takes a while to do whatever the logic is. And the model board's going crazy with the lights blinking because it's trying the track goes into this weird intermediate state. What is this? 148. I'm pretty sure I missed one in there, but maybe not. All this stuff is original 1915. The signals aren't 1915 originals. There was an early model of position light that went in on these. There's a couple. There's the 4 lamp ones, and then there was the one where you had the fixed. The lights weren't embedded in the backer. The backer was set behind it. If you're anyone who thinks that's sort of weird and stupid, just remember it was a very early installation of color light of electrically lit signals. So you can't just be like, oh, how dumb you have to be. Remember, they're used to semaphores, and these were kind of seen as a direct semaphore replacement. Why didn't they use color lamps in 1915 or that era? High intensity light bulbs had very poor life. The filament technology wasn't good yet, so you had to use low wattage bulbs. And that's why there's so much light projection optics to use 2 to 5 watt bulbs to project the light sufficient distance. Here we have the 132. I feel like maybe I should be just doing the original names. Yeah, I have a bunch of these different signal things. So, I don't know. I can always... I mean, that one is just wrong. But this is the one that's right near Bryn Mawr. Sorry, Villanova. It's the distant to Bryn Mawr. Note the grade plates, which I'm pretty sure are still there, but maybe not. At some point because everything is sort of stop and proceed, or since we have that whole restricted proceed thing, Amtrak might have pulled those grade plates, but I'm not sure. I haven't been up there. I mean, I just haven't thought to look. Also note the limited speed triangles. Bryn Mawr interlocking, I think, is the only place I know of with limited speed triangles in NORAC, or not Canada. Canada still has them, but county interlocking still had them up until the early 2000s, up through the 2000s, because although the tower was closed, it was not re-signaled. Oh, there's a thing that I used to do, or evidence of something I used to do. If you note, these signals are all like appropriately lit, and here it's like, but they're all, what's with the, I can't see them. I used to edit that. I used to juice it manually, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Here we have our Bryn Mawr Tower. Pretty good picture of Bryn Mawr Tower. This again closed in 1994 due to a fire. It wasn't a catastrophic fire, but it was a fire enough. And this only used to be part-time. So outside of peak periods, I think it was only open 2 shifts a day. Outside of peak periods, there just wasn't a crossover between Overbrook and Paoli. I'm sure they would if they were doing maintenance. They could deal with it, but after the fire, it's like either insurance or whatever. They dropped in that relay plant pretty quick. I'm not sure it connects to anything in the tower, but the tower is still in a very good condition. It's a duplicate of Clyde Tower and what used to be Paoli before Paoli lost its sort of bay window in the whatever derailment was there. Oops. So due to its condition, I'm pretty sure, and the main line is pretty good about preservation, so in case if anything was going to happen to it, I'm sure the locals would raise a stink, just like they raise a stink every time Amtrak wants to put in a new transmission line through their quiet mainline community. There it is. I go back to Bryn Mawr occasionally to get photos, but I've been there enough. I have also done a walking tour a number of years ago where I hit up the intermediates. I got off at Narberth and I walked to Malvern and took pictures of the intermediates along the way. I'm going to do the same thing for that St. David's signal bridge. It probably would have been something I would have done this summer, if not for COVID stuff. Although I think that it's probably okay to, we'll see how transit looks, because it's nothing I'm going to drive out for. Now, this is 4-block signaling to Overbrook. There's a stop signal at Overbrook, so right here on the 84 signal, you're going to see clear. Of course, we're cleared through. Clear on track 1, approach medium on track 2. Track 3 is still reversed. Westbound, so this is going to be the first of a 4-block 4-block to stop thing here. So this is going to be 084. Also, if you notice these things are repainted, that's because Montgomery County paid for that. The other county, it's not Montgomery County, it's something else. But right at the county line is where the repainting stops, and that's a little bit beyond Bryn Mawr. This looks like number 258. Not the greatest thing here, but it's there's Narberth right ahead. Man, they're actually letting me shoot through the front window. That's pretty nice of them. Today they get really bent out of shape. I don't know. Sometimes they do. Let's see if I'm writing over this something. I don't see a 258. Nope. Again, maybe I just dumped this photo because it was slightly soft. Next, here we have Bryn Mawr, Overbrook's home signal. At least, sort of, they moved it around the corner at some point. You can see it has an older signal bridge closer in. Don't know what they'll do when they re-signal it, if they'll keep it here or if they're going to move it back. Well, this cab signal stuff, they tend to be just not giving a crap about sightlines anymore. Ugh. That was Bryn Mawr. C1, there it goes. That would be the 18L on clear. And let's have a generic. Some of the switches in Overbrook are slow speed. The 11 specifically. Maybe the 17. One of them has been, if not removed, it cut. So there's something else for you. So here we have the 11 switch, and the the remains. The platform clearly used. There's a lot of this platform used to be longer on the Old Main Line. I didn't even get that. That's not even labeled right. Let's see what I can do here. I can crop this a bit. I don't need that stuff up there. Yep, Overbrook is still open. Probably one of the most, I mean, it's just sort of like sitting there at the end of the platform. Sort of a neat thing to sort of go hang out. I'm going to do a square cut on this one. This was right before that the station got overhauled. Didn't get a high level, but they ripped out those old 1970s shelters and put in some mild ADA stuff. Yeah, there it is. And again here, that 16L signal. Not sure what I can do with this. You'd have to cut a ton out. Huh. And I'm not going to letterbox it. I'm just going to make an oddball aspect ratio. That's going to be the 15 switch and the 9 switch. $16L clear plus 15 plus 9. There we go. Set 2 is done. Probably not going to be able to hit my goal of get this done in 2 nights. But we will see. How quick I can knock the rest of this out, and then so so here we have some of the 5A point machines there. Do a side window. And the 6L signal, which governs stuff into the dump siding. Older interlockings used to have like to have a lot more signals. It made a lot of the interlocking logic a lot easier, reducing the amount of conditionals you'd have. So we have the 7 East switch 5A, the 9 West switch 5A5 plus CP, that's the 17 switch, 17 plus 6L plus 7 switch eastbound angle. There we go. And next, this is jumped a bit. So now we're Overbrook has both the Model 14 for the immediate interlocking, but it took over some territory between there and Zoo on a CTC machine. Namely, they called the Valley machine, but it did have some, like, Overbrook has sort of like an extended, the old, this section here used to be a lot bigger, was known as Woodbine. Had some overlap, so it had put an O, so the 019 switch instead of the 19, the 017. The 019 is the only thing there, and the 018 signal and the 020. everything else has been pulled out. It used to be a bunch of stuff. But as you approach Valley, there's a bunch of sort of like extra signals that don't have any interlocking hardware because the switches was, there used to be a switch right here between track 1 and track 2. So I think it was a facing turnout, so track 1 could, some things on track 1 could shoot over to track 2. That was removed, but the signal is still there, which is the Valley 52R. What did I put it on this? Yeah, but it's Amtrak. It's not a tower, so because that mixes things up with Valley Stream. Oops, it's too blue. I was going to try a color balance adjust. I forget that I can do that. There we go. Brighten it up a bit. I wonder if that bridges, probably. This is before all the concrete ties came in. This is before a lot of the line got rebuilt. There is the Paxson signal along with the 56R for Valley. That's where there used to be a sort of a switch in there. I'd pull out the PRR diagram, but that's going to take time that I don't have. And for Paxson, that's going to be the 4E. Of course, your Valley flyover there. Here we have the remaining switch at Valley. There used to be another one up there. Where is it? And this thing, this is before the Overbrook shops were built. You had a second switch at Valley. The main line trains would fly up and over at track speed on that flyover, come back down, straddling a yard. When Amtrak wanted to put the Overbrook maintenance facility in there, they just rerouted 4-track, building that sort of. They would just put in a new 4-track all the way around, and then to cut that switch, the 67 switch right there. They just straight walled it. The neat part is when trains going on to the Kinwood branch, that's where the cab signaling would just suddenly end, because up until that switch it was number 4 main, and then it would go on Kinwood where there was no cabs. Well, since that point they built that as, that just became the whole Kinwood thing, but the cabs just would suddenly end at that one point. I captured that on one of my videos on the Silverliner last day of service. Silverliner 2's last day of service. Color balance this a bit. Brighten some parts of it. There we go. So this is so at some point not long after this, they also replaced that one air switch at Valley, because they had a whole compressor infrastructure powering one switch. Is that accurate? Do I need to change this? I'm not going to change this one. Yeah, they're both the 64R. So, there you go. Now we're getting into the whole zoo mess. This is the JO section of zoo, which I think I can do in a square cut. There it goes. This is still controlled by zoo to this day. So there's the weird sort of JO section of zoo. Zoo's down to two major sections, the JO and the 36th Street Junction. Oh, crap. 1 second. One second. Looks like I lost the feed here. Ah, great. Fuck. 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. Don't know why that died, but there we go. So anyway, here we just see in the zoo JO section, we are sitting at the end of that 133 switch. We can see the 129 and the 131. So not sure what I would have called it back in the day. No, I just called it this. I'm not going to call it out. I've got other things on the zoo, so I'm going to keep the original name. You know what? This isn't quite, doesn't look like it's level. There it goes. Oops, wrong one. There it goes. Boom. Here we have, so zoo is the, it still kind of is the interlocking that was so big that it has, automatics inside interlocking limits. Let's see if I can, I'm going to magic wand this and see if I can't boost the brightness over in that corner there. For the 28 signal. Clear. And there's your New York to Pittsburgh subway going down there in the corner. What's next? Oh, the famous T cantilever. This is still there in part of zoo. This is the 36th Street connector. You go straight for SEPTA. You make a left for Amtrak. There's your art museum in the back. This is this part of the zoo interlocking is where you start getting your money shots of the skyline and all the other stuff. So there we go. Get the whole everything there. Camera did a pretty good job with this one. Here we have, this again before SEPTA took over the suburban station portion. Oops. There we go. Need to go into fill at terminal 2. That would be the 40L signal. Because I just missed getting the one for my track. Probably didn't even bother including this picture because it's not very good. But I can cut that, and I don't even need to. Next, you got Philly Skyline. Note, no Comcast USB building. Not even close to construction even being started for that. Back in remember, for any of those who missed it, this is 2002. On a trip from Thorndale to West Trenton and back to Thorndale somehow. This is about where that SEPTA would put their new substation many years hence. Not sure what I would have called this either. Let's see what I name this. Anything? I just junk this? Oh, there it is. Coming up in Paddleton Yard, note this other subway is the Grays Ferry connector. That would allow trains on this route to go under and bypass 30th Street Station to the west. Sort of like the High Line allows freight to bypass it to the east. This sort of, it's like the same thing, only it's like the low line. It ties into that the Maryland, the two Maryland Division tracks coming out of that center platform. You can still see the daylight when you go through there. That's going to be SEPTA 388. I'm not sure how I did this one back in the day. Oh, okay. What? Oh, damn. These were clearly put in the SEPTA era. I'm not sure what was there before, but whatever it did, these are some of the nicest position lights in the area. They're super bright. Oops. I want to crop this, but I'm not going to get a lot out of it. Sort of there. Then across to there. right. Got 139 here at Powelton Yard. Blah, blah, blah. This is something else. Did I save this back? Yeah, I did. Again, when I say 2002, this would have been one of the. I only started I only got this my first digital camera in March, around either December or like March of that year. So like the first pictures I have were some for some spring break related stuff. I got 2 weeks of spring break at my school, so that was really nice. We have SEPTA 137. Again, I'm not seeing a great way to crop this. Maybe I don't need those trailers in there. There's not much going on that side. Oops. I got a Norristown train. I still think they had with a few tweaks they really could have fixed that whole R system. Huh. I wonder why I didn't have a picture of that. Strange. Whoops. Gotta make sure I spell that right. There it goes. And I probably dumped this one, but I'll redo it. So I don't usually get this good angle of Powelton Yard. Kind of soft, but now here we have another. Silverliner 2s were thick as flies back in the early 2000s. I think SEPTA had this thing where at first they were like running them all over the place because they're like, we're going to replace, their original target for replacement I think was like 2005 or 7 or something like that, and they're like, we'll run them all over, and they were all over the place, and then suddenly they realized that the cars were delayed and the 2s were going to fall apart, so they went from being everywhere to like nowhere. So they used to, way back in the 90s, they weren't always all over the place, and then they went from sort of peak period to then everywhere, and then only really you never saw them because they were falling apart. I don't know which one this is. I don't have a number on it. It's a Reading, and I know that because the mini cow catcher. Reading liked to have it, even on the Silverliner 4s, instead of having a pilot, they would put a mini cow catcher. So that's a Reading car. So it's a 90. And of course, our signals at Broad. I will say that the pedestals there have been replaced with those L&W Maka or sort of versions of your pedestals. There we go. Usually, this is where I usually will pull up the Broad Tower was still in service at this time. It was not the US&S machine. It was a let me pull up my PRR. It was a NX board. They did the railroads during rail works in the like 1986 or so. They re-signaled that from model 14 to an NX, but I still use the original model numbers or lever numbers. So that's going to be the 80R is clear with 82R, and 82L is facing us, or it gets 51. So they sort of made them into autos. 80R slow clear plus 82R. Oops. There we go. So in theory, that's it for this first set, but there are only 40 pictures, and if I want to try to get the rest of them all done tomorrow, I might just do a couple more here. Let's just see what I can do. And that would leave 73 tomorrow. Oh, that's really tight. I might just cut it, and then I can leave everybody. If people don't mind, I can leave people hanging for the last bit, because it's already pretty late. All the interlocking die. Which ones? So the Amtrak ones used to be on blockstation.net. Blockstation.net is no more. It just vanished. I, of course, had saved them back in the day when the internet was unreliable. So they're now, you can find them on my my new host for photos. I'll just drop a link in the chat. That's for the Amtrak diagrams. The PRR diagrams, same thing. They were on Blockstation. They were on the Mark Bege's site, hosted by Keystone Crossings. Keystone Crossings went belly up. Mark hadn't updated his page since 2003, but again, I had fortunately saved them all. So, and more. So I'm gonna drop that. I'll drop that link in the chat. You should be able to Google it now. Google's pretty good at catching that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I've been on for about an hour now. I'm gonna just cut it here. Tomorrow, I'm gonna do another set. Let's just see what I have. I'm gonna be able to do another set that'll get me to West Trenton. I'm trying to think what that cut point's gonna be. There's Trent Tower, so I'll probably get to West Trenton, and then I'll do a cut and come back. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to finish that, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to leave you guys a little stranded halfway in West Trenton for a couple weeks till I get back and can finish the set. It's either going to be, it'll be 2 dates for that one. So I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, same time, 10 p.m. Hopefully I can get a little early. And then the next one is going to be the 2nd to the 3rd of September, or it's going to be the 7th to the 8th of September. That's the labor. It's going to be either on Labor Day or the Thursday before the Wednesday to Thursday before Labor Day. I'm driving up to Mount Washington to do a hike in New Hampshire, and I'm going to be stopping back at my parents' house on either times. So hopefully I'll figure out if I can do a stream on one of those days. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry I didn't make it. Sorry I got to the late start. If I didn't have a late start, I would just press through and do another 14. but it would still leave me with 70 tomorrow, and that's just bad news. This is a really fun set. I hope you tune in for the other ones. Again, I have a lot of neat stuff going out to West Trenton, and then I go back. I go back past there's Overbrook again, past Bryn Mawr. So I don't know how I ever did this, but started at Thorndale, train out to West Trenton, and train back. Probably the longest trip you can take on SEPTA, but I think Doylestown is longer. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Sorry for the delays and the technical difficulties with the lost screen thing.